Welcome to the Coach's Corner podcast. We're back again for our another episode. What episode is this? Like 3, 4?
Episode 3. Episode 3. We're back.
So episode 3. So basically, we love the fact that you guys are tuning in. We've gotten a tremendous response so far. And so I think on today's episode, we're going to talk about what it takes to make a varsity squad. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's very key. And for us in the Omaha area, big announcement yesterday was OPS. Right at this time, we'll be playing winter sports, which means basketball and that's big. And so that's a big announcement. So I think that's a perfect time to bring that up.
So that's what we're going to be getting into. We're going to be talking from a basketball perspective, but really this is varsity across all sports. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Thanks for tuning in. We will get to you guys after the intro. Peace. Okay, we're back, guys. We want to give a quick shout out to a couple of people that stepped up and sponsored, gave a donation to our teams to get us back on the court. My shout out specifically is for Sally and Chris over at Solutions Heating and Air Conditioning. That donation helps us get these kids back on the court, helps us get back into some basketball. I've known Sally and Chris for a couple of years. They provide fantastic service. If something goes wrong with the AC or heating unit in the house, they're the first ones I call. I know that when I call them, it's not going to be a big runaround. I'm not going to get a bunch of services I don't need. And, Chris really prides himself on making sure that you're getting the right service for your pocketbook and for your home, and to keep your home safe and comfortable. So, and here's the thing. Right now is about the time that you want to be looking into your winter maintenance schedule and stuff, making sure that your heating unit is up and ready for the winter. And so give Sally and Chris a call. I believe they're running a promotion at $77 just to get your furnace and stuff checked up. Get a checkup on your furnace or whatnot. It's a small investment that can save you thousands in the future. So that is its Solutions Heating and Air Conditioning. If you want to look them up, just Google Solutions Heating and Air Conditioning on Google. And the phone number, I'm pulling it up here, so if you give me a second.
All right, and while we're doing that, a shout out to Miss Sandra and Miss Lee. And I think there was somebody else. I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to go through there, but we definitely appreciate it. We have a lot of kids that come through our academy and come through and just want to get in. And like we said, if you see the link when you go to it, we lost a season. I mean, and that's huge for these kids. A lot of the kids were prepped to play AAU basketball this summer and do some summer league, and we didn't have it. So, with the pandemic going on, we lost a season. So, like Brian said, it's going to be great to get these kids back in. And if we can have, kids that are in need, if they want to play ball, we want to make sure they have everything to get started for that season.
So, for Solutions, Heating and AC, Heating and Air Conditioning, the number is 402-505-4797. Give them a call. Right now it's really important to get that winter maintenance done. And so it's a fantastic service. Also, they do, for installs or whatnot, if you need a second opinion, they will come out and give you a second opinion, so that make sure that you're getting the best value for your money. So that is a huge shout out. We really appreciate the donation. And so, we're excited for the season, and this helps us get closer to it. So that's what we wanted to touch on real quick. All right. Back to business. So, what it takes to make a varsity team. And, Coach Mo does a lot of work with teams around the city. We've had a lot of varsity players make it through our system, whether they've come through us and worked through our system and made it to a varsity program, or if they're already coming to us as a varsity player who's looking to get better. We've had both ends of it. And so, Coach Mo he has assistant coaching, correct?
Yep.
With one of the local high schools. If you want to give them a shout out.
Shout out to Bellevue West, help with the freshman team. So it starts, you had to build a foundation somewhere. So me and Coach Hepburn the last few years have been working with that program, and Coach Olson as well. And so we've been working and developing those kids, and so I think we have a pretty good handle on some, what it kind of takes to start the program, but also have a good handle by looking at the rest of the program and how do you get to that varsity level, which is what every kid's dream is, to start somewhere, but every kid's dream is to finish on that varsity level.
Yep. And so, with that in mind, we really want to sit down and take some time out to discuss what it actually takes. And we're talking from a perspective of maybe you're a player that's transferring schools, maybe you're a player that has worked your way up and you're in a school's current system and you want to take that next step to get to be on that varsity level. There's a difference in terms of the way your mind's got to be and what activities you participate in. And the first thing I want to put out there, Coach Mo can back me up on this. I think as you get towards the top, you start to get towards some of the best players in the city, and whatever city you're in, and you start to get to some of the best players, the difference between talent starts to narrow. And the things that matter are your skills and what you're doing and the off-season work that you're putting in, your conditioning, mindset is huge, your contribution to the team. A lot of those things start to narrow. A lot of the talent stuff starts to narrow, and those other things end up taking a bigger role. Am I on to something there, Coach Mo?
Yeah. So we started seeing that. At freshman level, you make the team, and you can see some kids obviously stand out and make the team, and the elephant in the room is cuts happen, and so as you go in the system, like you said, there's only I don't know how many high schools would run 15 kids on that roster. You're probably playing 9, maybe 10, but that's all. So if you go into high school where you have 1,200 kids, they're only picking 12 kids. So, like you said, the higher up that level, especially in a Class A, the bigger schools, the higher up, it's going to be a lot tougher to make that varsity level. And so, at some point, it's going to be more than just going off of your speed or going off of your height, or you could jump the highest in 8th grade. That stuff goes out the window when trying to get to that next level.
So I'll ask you this. Do talented kids or talented athletes get cut from rosters?
All the time. And every school is different because you look at the needs for that team for that year. If you're a logjam, then there's 5 point guards. You may be on the outside looking in. They may need to use those bigs. They may need a 3. They may need a 4. And so you have these very talented kids, and they just kind of ran into a tough situation. There's situations now at some of our local Class A high schools where, man, these classes are loaded from freshman up to senior year, and a lot of kids are doing work outside of there, and so it's not a thing that you're just a bad player. It's just it's a lot of talent out there. So how do you get that edge?
Yep. So, and it sounds like there are situations where it just may be a bad fit. Mm-hmm. Where your talent matches a lot of people on that roster, but it's just not a fit. Maybe your skill set doesn't really match what the team's trying to do, or your mindset doesn't match what the coach has in mind, and so it can be any number of things. And so what we're saying is the stuff that's going to solidify your spot is having the versatility, but also showing the commitment, showing the hustle, and things like that. And so, and I know and we're going to get into it a little bit later on. I know, sports are year round. And so a lot of coaches have the expectation that if you're not playing my sport, you're playing a sport. Mm-hmm. And so they'll give concessions for multi-sport athletes because they know the level of, they know what multi-sport athletes bring to the table. It brings multi-dimensional athletes to the table. And I know we haven't done a podcast episode. We're going to do one that's going to be a deeper dive into the multi-sport athlete world. But I can tell you off the top of my head, there's research that shows that multi-sport athletes are the ones that end up making those pro rosters. Athletes that had talent in more than one area because some physical abilities translate from one sport to another. Those are the ones that get people licking their chops, where they're really looking to give somebody a roster opportunity because they know they can do more than one thing and they're multi-talented. Off the top of my head, I know, my team is the Chiefs, and Mahomes is what could have gone. He could have gone on to play baseball. He probably could have gone on to play basketball.
Yeah, he's a good hooper.
He was a hooper too, and so, but football's the one that he chose. And when they interview him, they ask him, what he envisions his role on the team is. The first thing he'll say is, "I'm the point guard of the offense. That's what my job is. I'm the point guard." And so because he has the skills, those skills translate, and so it translates on the field too. So anyway, that's our spiel about what we got coming up eventually. But if you're not playing a sport, if you're not playing their sport, you need to be playing a sport. But if you're playing their sport, it's a year-round commitment, and there are activities that they're going to expect you to participate in. And even if you're playing a sport, there's still activities they want you to participate in to build some engagement with the team. Am I on to something there?
Yeah, and so there's a lot of things, especially when the summer starts, where the hidden thing in the room where they say, "Hey, this is not mandatory. Trust me, if you are trying to get to that next level, it's mandatory." And they want you there. And so I had a kid come up to me maybe about 2 weeks ago, and he's like, "I'm going out for the team, this high school team this year. What do I need to do?" And I kind of looked at him because I was like, this team's been lifting weights and having open gyms of all summer. Like, you're kind of late to the show. And right there, if we were to talk about things that get you on the varsity level, responsibility. Let's talk about that. It was your responsibility being at the school or asking those questions to the coach or following the emails or following what they posted on Twitter to be at these workouts. And if you didn't know or you decided not to go, you're not in that system. You're most likely you're not going to be this varsity player because you should have known that. So you got to take some kind of responsibility to talk to the coach, talk to somebody at the school to know what is coming up so I can get myself there.
If you're not on the roster, there's no such thing as optional.
No.
Especially if you're trying to make an impression, because the coach isn't just looking at the coach is not just looking at your raw talent. Unless you are some transformative level talent, they're not just looking at your raw talent or raw skill. They're trying to see if you fit onto their team, if you're a good fit to the team. We've seen plenty of cases very recently, especially in the NBA. We've seen plenty of cases where you have a phenomenally generational talented player who is not a fit on the roster that they're playing for, and given the coach, depending on what the coach's power is or how much stroke he has in that organization, you might end up be that generational talent who's forever a journeyman because they don't keep you around because it's just not a fit. And so you bounce from team to team to team because you're never that fit. Now, I know there are players that do that because that's just kind of who they are, and they want to conquer a new horizon, but there are also players that cycle around because they're never a fit. And so sometimes it goes both ways. Now, we're talking about high school. They're trying to assess whether you are thrown off the team chemistry, especially in high school, because you get in there and screw up the team chemistry. You have a bunch of other kids that are still learning to master their emotions. It could make a very volatile situation even worse. So the coach wants to see you around the team, and they want to see you participate in team activities.
Yeah, you at this point, we're looking at, you're a teenager. You're not you're not 6 years old anymore. You got to know, and there's no excuse. We're in a social media era. I mean, these kids. You talk about everything else on Instagram. You talk about everything else on Twitter and Snapchat. Somebody, one of your friends or one of your teammates, knew about this practice. You know, so either you decided to ignore it or you didn't think that was important. But to the coaches, we have a job to do, and our job is to put the best players on the floor. And then when they get to, a lot of kids start out at freshman level, and then we move on. Coach Hep had a great tweet today. Was talking. He identified some of our top players that have D1 offers that started out on freshman B or freshman A team and did the right thing. They kept grinding, got themselves up there, and the reason they did it was that these kids showed up to practice. They showed up to the games. They learned from their mistakes. They worked in the summer. They went to the camps. They went outside, ran the hills. They found a trainer. They did something to get them to that next level. And all of a sudden, they're varsity players from all that work. It doesn't happen overnight. And again, like you said, unless you're walking in, you're like, this player that doesn't need anything, which is super rare. You're not just going to walk into a varsity starting position just off of being who you are.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about some of the big mistakes that we see players and parents make when it comes to getting a player to move from freshman to varsity. And so we're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then that's what we'll get into. So welcome back. We wanted to kind of discuss some of the pitfalls that we've seen, some of the ways that we've seen athletes. I mean, let's keep it real here. We've seen athletes sabotage themselves. We've seen parents sabotage athletes, all in the quest to make that varsity roster. And it's a sad thing to see, especially when it's a kid who had a chance, but through their own actions or through their parents' actions, they ain't on the roster. And we've seen it time and time again. And so we want to run down some of the pitfalls that we've seen. The one that comes off the top of my head, we just talked about it in the previous segment, but I do feel like it needs to be underlined. You cannot disappear. You can't just fall off the map or decide that you're going to take a season off if you're not injured. And even if you're injured, they still want you to participate in team activities, even though it may not be physical activities. You're still there cheering the team on. But disappearing, just deciding I'm just gonna disappear, you ain't that good to walk. You're not that good to come back. Just show up after a year. It doesn't work. And Coach Mo has seen it. We've seen it with kids that we're not a varsity basketball program. We have 7th and 8th grade. But we've seen it. Kids that disappear for an entire year and show up around basketball season and think that they're just going to walk back in the door and have their roster spot. It doesn't work like that. Especially when we're offering year-round services for development. We're also offering what do we call it?
Our tryout training.
Yep. We're offering our open gym invitational, which happens on Mondays. Show up.
Man, we're gonna touch that at the end, man. I got some real good players coming in every week, boy.
You never know who's going to be there, and Coach Mo keeps our teams in open gyms. He loves to see our players play against other talent in the city. But if you don't show up to open gyms and you don't show up to team activities and you don't show up to games and all the other stuff, if you just go into witness protection at the end of the season and then decide I'm going to take the year off, you can't disappear and expect that you're just going to have a roster spot.
And let's keep it real. Here's my thing. Being a coach is you're not the expert, mom and dad. I mean, we're trying to help you. We're trying to help you, and over the years we've had most of the parents. We have a good relationship and everything's good, but this is not a perfect world. Yeah. And we'll have a parent every now and then, and they'll say, "Think my son's tired." Okay. what do you mean by tired? Like needs a break. So when I think of breaks, I'm thinking like maybe that kid's got some injuries, wear and tear. Yes, when March comes around, we give the kids a couple weeks. I mean, they've been playing back to back. Yes, with their bodies, but the competition isn't taking 2 months off, and they're taking 3 months off because they continue to play after that break, and they keep going. And we've had parents that came up to us and it's like, we're probably not going to show up to all the open gyms or the weight training or the agility training. We're just going to have them play in the driveway. And the scary thing with that is these are kids going into high school. These kids are maybe already in the high school, and it's like, if you're going to try out for this team, you need to be around basketball activities. You need to do what the school is saying. If you're on a select team, do what your select team is doing. Get ready to play ball. But if you're taking 2-3 months off, you're going to be behind the curve because your competition, and we talked about this the last couple weeks, your competition is not stopping. They're not slowing down. They may give their 2-3 days of rest. We understand that. I'm a speed and agility coach. I am certified at doing that. I understand the body. I understand that it needs rest. But if I'm a competitive athlete, I don't need 3 weeks of rest. I don't need 3 weeks of rest if I want to be headed toward that varsity level. And so we get it all the time where we had, you have plenty of athletes ready to go. And high school, I think tryouts are in November. Middle school is next month. I mean, shout out to our tryout training. We're going to have it loaded up tomorrow night. You can still get inside of it. But it's time. And so we've had parents pull out and say, I think they're going to have a break before the basketball tryouts happen. And that's the wrong message to send to your kids, because when that kid came up to me and didn't know that there was personal stuff going on at his particular school, and I even know the school, but I said, I know kids at your school and they've been doing something for the last 3-4 months. You didn't know about that? And so that right there shows me there's a lack of accountability for the student and for the parent, because I know as a coach dad, which is going to be one of our segments, we're going to get a couple of coaches in here. Coach Jeff, I got your message. Coach Q, I got your message too. We're going to get you guys in here pretty soon. I'm going to ask the question beforehand. I know my kids coming to high school. I'm emailing, I'm calling. When are tryouts? When are the workouts? When are these things at? Because first of all, I want my kid to make the team. Second of all, once they make the team, I want them to work themselves to not only make the team, be the best at the team. And with our patience and hard work, eventually, I want to be on the varsity level. I want to sit and see my kid playing on a Friday night with a packed stadium, and they're on the floor. And I think that's what a kid who really loves that sport, and we're specifically talking about basketball, but any sport, they want to be that level too.
And here's the thing. I think we've talked about it on previous episodes, but it is really assessing, you can want something. You can want something. You could seriously want something. But are you willing to sacrifice for it? Are you willing to take the steps necessary to sacrifice for it? And so on paper, yeah, you could say, oh, yeah, I want, my kid wants to be a varsity basketball player, and they tell you they want to make the varsity squad. But are they willing to do the things that the other varsity players are doing? Because if they're not willing to do it, the want versus what they're willing to do doesn't align. There's a lot of things in this world I want, but I don't want them bad enough to alter the trajectory of my life or do something completely different to attain it. And so at the end of the day, I really don't want it on that level. It's something I would like, but it's not something I desire or need. And so I think that's what we're talking about. Do they want it on that level? And that's where you have that transparent conversation. Now, if you're talking about tired, is this not getting enough rest at night? Is this not taking my days off and making them days off? Is it not adequate nutrition? Is it not adequate condition? Are they not in the physical shape to be successful? These are the kind of questions that need to be addressed first. Because if the kid is doing everything right and they're still tired, then there's something else going on, and we need to take a look at that. And that's where parents contact other professionals and sit down and have honest conversations with the kid. But if it's, well, they just want a vacation or they just want time away, that's fine. You can take your time away, but understand that this time away means that you might not make the varsity squad. You may not make any squad. So the time away is important, and the rest time is huge. And we've talked about the concept of active rest and making sure that kids are getting their right rest and stuff like that. But do they want to? Do they want to break more than they want to make the roster?
The worst thing I've heard, and I guess I don't care about the feedback on this, because I'm in this. I have D1 athletes, and that's not me bragging or anything like that. Too, I've worked with these kids because they want to, and they got to do the work. So I put the tools in, and they got to do the work. And I have D1 kids. I have kids in college. I have kids that are on their way to do great things after high school. But the worst thing I've heard is I hear people say, not only take a break, they say, we're just going to do it. We're just going to go out and play a bunch of games. We'll go out to the park. We'll do a bunch of stuff. And none of it's monitored. There's no results based in it. There's no goal to it. And I've heard people get, even on my page over there too, like, why would a kid go out and go get a trainer? Why would a kid go out and go do weights? Why would a kid go do? I'm like, I don't know, but I know the top players in our state have trainers. Let it be for speed agility. Let it be for weight training. Let it be for basketball skill work. And I love it. I have kids that have 3 or 4 different types of trainers, and shout out to us trainers, and shout out to people doing like that. And we all try to come along and talk, and coaches, and we bounce off each other to make, because at the end of the day, if that kid wants to get to that next level, that varsity level, that parent and that kid decided they're going to do what it takes to get there. They're going to do the school stuff and do stuff outside of there. So for somebody to say, it's optional. You don't have to go. And to tell your kid that, you're not at the school with that kid. You don't know how competitive that team is. You don't know if there's 40 people going out for 12 spots. You don't know that because you're not at school as a parent. And if the kid can make it, I'd say make it. And if you are able to find somebody that can help with their deficiencies, like I said, not every basketball trainer is for every type of kid, but there is somebody out there for your kid. And if it works, and if it gets that kid a little bit better, and they went from freshman B to now to JV, we're getting closer to varsity. So don't tell that kid, don't go find what helps them get to that next level. And I will stand on that. And again, that's not a plug for myself. That's a plug for just in general. If that kid needs that work and needs to get more things, go out there and look for it. One example is, again, we talk about it. You go to a school with a bunch of point guards, and it's just your year of 7 point guards. You're 5'3" going into your junior year. What's going to separate you from the kid at 6'4" that's actually can pass better? So what do you need to do? Get stronger. Get stronger. Get faster. Work on something else to get noticed.
And so, and we're shouting out the other, because here's the thing. We're comfortable and proud of what we do and proud of the product that we put out there. And so we don't have any problem shouting out to acknowledge there are other people operating in the same space. We want them to succeed. We want to be successful. What we're telling you is there's a reason why we exist. There's a reason why services like we provide exist, because there are people that are seeking the edge. They've maximized everything that they have in their arsenal, and now they're looking for an edge. They're looking for an edge to reach those higher levels. And so, there are plenty of other trainers out there. We believe in our product, and if you believe in our product, we'd love to have you. But we're saying you gotta find somebody to do the work to help you out, especially if you've reached your limit and you're out of options. You don't know what else to do. Maybe now it's time for that external help, and that's what we're talking about.
And touch on that, Brian. You had a real good point there. My dad ran track. He was a great football player, but he didn't play basketball. I learned basketball on my own. I was a great street player. And I'm a very honest person when it comes to sports. I got cut from a lot of teams, and it wasn't talent. And coaches would tell me that. They're like, you have no idea how to run an offense. And I was like, well, when I'm at the park, I'll be dropping people and crossing them over. And they're like, you're at a high school, man, and I need you to run an offense. Do you know how to run an offense? Well, no. So when I went and asked my dad, his answer was, go down and go play with your cousins. Go play with somebody, get better. Yes, I can take anybody that's great individually. I did not understand what would it take to get me to the next level. And so I struggled in that sport because my parents weren't, my dad wasn't a basketball player, you know? And I'm not saying you need that all the time, but I actually needed somebody. I don't care if it would have been a neighbor, a coach or something like that to help me. I didn't have that, you know? And that tends to hurt a lot of kids because you don't have those options. We're now in an era that you have options, and you have options to do. And like you said, for us, one big option is the tryout training. We have that, and I'm not, that's just not. But I'm passionate about it because last year we had 100% of our kids made a team. I mean, and we had a lot of kids in that tryout training. And these are kids that were high school, junior high, select team. They were making different types of teams. They weren't all on the same team. So whatever we were doing stuck for those, and it worked for those kids. It may not have worked for 30, 40 other kids that were doing something else, and it may have too. But the kids that we signed up for, we were passionate about working and getting better. And like we said, you have to find something that will get you to that next level. And I've seen a lot of kids, and I'm proud of them, get in the weight room this summer, get a trainer, being up at school, asking the coach different things, coming early in the morning to get shots in if their school was open, to get those things. Those kids would be a next level. And I tell you one thing that my top varsity players, my college players will tell you, Brian, is the basketball, especially in any sport you get at, it's supposed to be fun. And to get on the varsity level, to make it very easy, to make it very, get in the game, it's fun. And it's fun because they did the work to get to that level.
So, circling back to talk about these mistakes, couple more mistakes that I've seen. Coach Mo has mentioned them to me too. How you practice is how you play. When you show up to these activities and events, you're going out and putting forth the same level of effort that you would if the game is on the line and it means that you move on or go home. We've seen kids throw it on autopilot. We've seen kids give a piss poor effort because they didn't feel like it that morning. They weren't prepared mentally. And really, a lot of times these coaches are working off of a snapshot if they're not familiar with your work on the court. And so if you don't give 100% of effort and you treat pickup games and you treat these off-season practices and team activities like it's something that you can go in and just kind of play around with, they'll get a wrong snapshot of you and you won't be on their roster because they'll have the wrong image of you. It also goes into body language. What do we call it? The boo-boo face. Walking around with the boo-boo face. You make a mistake, your shoulders slouch and your lip pokes out and all that other bad body language stuff. It might not mean anything to you, and you may be the best listener to the coach, but in that snapshot, that coach sees a kid that pouts when they don't get their way or things don't go right, and now I got to play the mental game with them to get them re-engaged. That's a quick, fast pass to not be on a roster. Getting a boo-boo face and not giving 100% of your effort, not practicing the way that you play. So the body language thing is huge, Coach Mo. Tell us a little bit more about losing body language.
Well, what happens is, as soon as like you said, you explained it perfect. The shoulder slump, you stop listening to the coach, you turn away. I don't trust that you're going to be able to perform at that minute. I don't know if you're a kid that can turn. I don't know you. My job is not to coddle you in the middle of a game. It's a tie game. We have 3 minutes to go, and you got your fourth foul because you're hacking. You're jumping on people's back. You're not paying attention. You're not sliding your feet, and you're pouting because I just pulled you out. You can best believe you're probably done the rest of that game. And don't think I'm the only coach that sees it. The other coach and the coaches across the way. and the recruiters are standing across the gym, and the parents see it, and all of a sudden you start getting this rep for a kid that has the boo-boo face, a kid that's going to break down when things get tough, and that's not being prepared. You know, that body language says everything. I love the kids, man. You can cuss me out. Listen, cuss me out at home. Cuss me out on your way there. Do whatever, Instagram, DM your friends. But when we're in a game and I'm coaching you, look at me. Look at what I'm saying. Say yes, coach. Act like you're engaging there. And then those kids are going to touch the floor. There are a lot of frustrating times I've had coaching, but you can always look at about 3 or 4 kids, and they're always ready. Particularly even on our CMA All-Star teams. Chris is one of them, and Chris is always ready to play. Chris is short-term memory with mistakes, and I love it because Chris can turn the ball over. I can say, Chris, calm down. Yes, yeah, my bad. I'm ready to go back in there. And he's not overly apologized. He's not, I'm so sorry. I let you guys down. He's just like, I'm back into it. And that's a great mentality that a coach wants to see. Like, all right, I can put you right back in. Get a drink, and we can go back in. He doesn't have a lot of emotion. You know that too? He has emotion, but you know what? He looks at me, he says it, doesn't do it, and he's back in. And we're not saying these kids have perfect thing, but the majority of the time, I can look at those 2 kids, and they're ready to roll. And they're ready to roll, and their body language is showing I'm ready to get back in and fix my mistakes.
So, no boo-boo face. No, that's what we call it. The boo-boo face thing is a non-starter. We're going to take a quick pause for the cause, and then I think we're going to come back and talk about why you aren't LeVar Ball, and nor should you want to be at this level. Hey guys, it's Brian from Coach Mo Athletics. I wanted to take a quick time out to kind of give you an update on a couple of programs that we have running that we're really looking to start getting people enrolled in because we think it's really a tremendous value to the people we're going to serve. First, we're going to have our tryout prep training. Now, we did this last year and we had a tremendous outcome. Coach Mo mentioned how basically every kid that we had come through for our tryout prep training made their basketball team. It's just speed and agility and some basketball drills and footwork and dribbling and stuff to get your kid ready for tryouts to really crush it. Emphasis is going to be on the speed, agility, and conditioning piece because we feel like that's a vital component, and then the skill work so that they can be ready to go out and execute in a major way. And so we have that coming up. We're going to start that on September 11th, and we're going to take it through November 7th. And that's going to be about 9 weeks of intensive training. This is where our partnership with Legends Soccer Club comes into play because that's the facility we're going to be using. Plenty of space for the kids to run around in and really get some good work in. So that's what we got coming up. And on Monday nights, I believe it's from 5 to 7, we have basically it's our open court challenge, and really it's for, it's an opportunity for basketball players of all stripes to come together. We have high school, we have junior high, we have adults, we have college players, and it just allows the kids, especially the younger ones, to come out and get run with some experienced basketball players, and allows us to kind of evaluate talent and see, who's an appropriate fit for our team. Other coaches will come through and see if there's talent that they want to talk to, and so it's a great opportunity. And so this is, our open gym invitational, and really we want people to contact us first so that we can extend the invite because there is very limited space. This service doesn't really cost anything except, a call and contacting us to let us know if you want to come out. And so those are 2 programs that we have running. As usual, we have our Basketball Academy program, which runs year-round. Right now, we're in the mode of trying to get some sponsorships for teams so that we can start in October, starting our league in October. And that's what we have. And then we have our total athlete training, which is for all athletes across the board. And so this is Coach Mo's signature training, and he's had good success with a wide variety of athletes. And so these are just the programming that we have available. Go to our Facebook page. You'll see posts and things about it. You'll see some videos about the stuff that we do. But if you're interested in any of these services, get in contact with us at coachmoathletics@gmail.com, or find us on Facebook at Coach Mo Athletics. Talk to you later. Back to the show. Peace. So we're back. Now, we want to throw this out here. I've mentioned that you're not LeVar, nor should you want to be. But in a lot of cases, LeVar has earned what he can do. He has multiple children who are considered generational talents. They're top high school players in the country. Multiple kids. If you're trying to figure out how your kid's going to make the varsity roster, you're not him. If the position isn't solid, and they haven't been on watch lists coming in at 8th and 9th grade, you're not him. And so this is where a coach sits down and looks at parental behavior and sees if the parent is in the stands undermining the coach to other parents, if they're undermining teammates to other parents, if they're sitting out there calling out of their own playbook during the game. They've drawn up plays on 2K, and they think that the kid needs to run them on the court and
the banana split.
Yeah, override it. These are the kind of things, and it's funny, but these are the kind of things that we've seen. And I get it. If your kid has that level of talent, you've earned that level of ego to try to influence things. But if your kid is trying to make the varsity team and it's still in doubt, you ain't there yet. And your kid's not there yet, and you're actually doing damage to the kid because you don't know who's watching. And those kids that are fringy or on the edge, on the cusp of getting those offers, if they don't have, if the recruiter comes in and they're just trying to check and kind of see, do a status check and kind of see where this kid's at and whatnot, you might have this kid that's on the fringe. If they see you acting a fool in the bleachers, doing all that extra stuff like you have the next superstar, the next coming, they might look the other way.
Yeah, there's a thin line between support and being a distraction. There are some great players in this, and we went to school with them. We went to school with guys that were like out of this world players. Could not get along with the team, could not do whatever. The parents were just like a distraction, and it really hurt those kids. The kids really didn't go on to do anything, so it didn't matter what their talent was. You got to kind of be a fan as a parent. Be a fan. Now, I will tell you as a parent, like I'm not, because I'm a parent too as a coach. I will tell you there is times to step in. There's time you see your kid getting hurt, or your kid is laboring down the court and they're forcing them to play on a injury that can end their career. They're screaming, they hit them with a clipboard, something that's out of this but if the coach is just getting into them a little bit, tell them to do a little extra practice, come early for some shots, I don't think as a parent you need to be in there with the coach, telling them your history. I've had parents come to me, I really don't care about what you did in 1973 on your varsity team. Commendable that you scored, 20 points in the game 3 of your 1973 season, but I'm dealing with your 9th grader right now who wants to get better and get on a team, and you coming in that office 5 times a week and telling me what you did and what you should do and how I should coach, but I have a commitment to the school or program to run certain plays, run certain defenses and those kind of things there, is not going to help that kid in any kind of way elevate himself. I'm not gonna bend like that. I know 99% of the coaches I know aren't gonna bend and just throw the kid on varsity. Here's another thing we did. You probably don't think about is, would the kid even be ready for varsity physically or mentally? So we have these parents that are coming in at freshman year and like they see the success of maybe a varsity team and they're like, there was last year the kid comes out 8th grade and they're like, yep, kid needs to suit up varsity because we are in sports. We've done the wrong thing. We've measured getting a letter in sports and getting a varsity letter as success. And what we miss is there's one thing to suit up and there's also a thing to be playing. When I went to college, I wanted to play. I wanted to be a part of the team. I didn't want to be like just suiting up and riding the bus. And so when a kid comes there and it's like, and I even told my oldest, when you go to high school next year, yeah, we hope you get the varsity. We hope you do that. But I'm like, man, if you can play on JV and you get to play every game and play several minutes and you get a chance to earn yourself up there, you're going to appreciate the journey a little bit more. But we have parents that will come in just in general, and a lot of coaches told me that are like, my kid better be on varsity. They have to be on varsity. They have to do it. And the kid will look at you and like, I'm not strong as that kid. I'm not fast as that kid. I don't want to be on. And those kids start getting exposed and they start losing games. They start getting dominated out in the court. You can actually go reverse and have that kid end up quitting or not even want to play anymore. And we had several of that. And we've seen that over the years in every level. It's not good.
Yeah. I think one of the things we can also talk about, specifically when it might be time to step in, and this is one that's very delicate, so you got to be careful with this one. And there's something else we're going to circle back to, too. If your kid is obviously playing out of position, and we're not talking about for their size or whatnot, we've seen it. We've had kids, they're tall kids. They're getting, when they get onto another team or whatnot, they're running them at center just because this kid is tall. And they don't have the mentally, they're not into that kind of going and banging for the boards and all that stuff. They're not there. And so obviously, a coach or a parent's going to look at that and say, okay, this kid's out of position, and that's where you do have a conversation with the coach and figure out, okay, so on your team, you need him here, need her here, but that's not the skill work we've been doing. They've never played this position. So coach, what are you going to do to develop their skills to be the player that you need them to be in this position? Or is this the sign that we need to go look at something else next season? So you can have these kind of conversations, be very delicate about it. We want you to advocate for your children. We're not saying don't advocate. What we're saying is make sure you're balancing it out and having transparent conversations with the coach.
Go watch your kid play.
Yeah.
Go watch your kid practice. Go watch your kid do stuff. And if all your doubts and all your questions will be answered pretty quickly if you do those things. You know what your kids can do. I know what my kids can do. I know what they're talented at. I know what they're not talented at. Off of just being around them. My oldest is pretty athletic. He can pretty much run into any sport and figure it out. My middle, she's good at certain things. I'm not at there, but I know that. I watched the game. I went to a practice and I was like, I'm gonna step back and let the coach do because I thought some other way, but now that I've visually seen it, yep. I got it. I got it.
And, don't spitball it. Like you said, make sure that you're basing those assessments on actual evidence during the game. I've seen it with other teams where, the parent and family are loudly advocating for this specific kid to get the ball. On other programs, they're loudly advocating from the sidelines, and they're shouting out plays and telling the kid what to do from the sidelines. We've talked about this earlier on another episode, but they're actively taking those chances and shouting instructions to the kid and shouting instructions to the coach and complaining loudly when the coach doesn't implement. I promise you that kid's probably not on that team anymore.
Hey, be honest. You've been in a lot of games. How many high school varsity coaches have you seen that are when our girls were playing, our daughters were playing second and third grade basketball? Did you see any varsity coaches there? No. So I mean, so there's no one there at that level for you to run up and down the court and scream at the kid and tell them, relax, relax,
chill. And here's the thing: I've seen it at eighth grade, seventh and eighth grade games where other teams and stuff like that. They'll have somebody in this sitting in the sidelines, loudly complaining about what the coach ain't doing and how their kid they need to give them the ball more, and this kid is shooting too much. I've seen it, and the other coaches can hear you. The other parents can hear you. And if you want to find out what lonely is, be on a team full of parents that you've alienated because you're banging too hard on the sidelines. Again, I said it before and I'll say it again, and we'll kind of we'll kind of tie a knot on this one. If you have that level of energy and you're that passionate, you need to talk to the coach about assisting. You need to talk to the coach, and you feel like you have your X's and O's, and you can be an asset to that team. Then you need to figure out how you can be an assistant, how you can help out. And when you go in, you're going in with the mindset that it's for the entire team and not just one child. But all those other things on the sidelines. If we're talking about making a varsity roster, if you're cutting up at the freshman game, there's a good chance that unless you have this generational transformative level talent in your household, if you're cutting up at the freshman game, the coach is going to recognize that.
Oh, we talk. We talk at every level. Like as high school coaches, we talk. As AAU coaches, we talk. As select, just end of year coaches, middle school, we all talk. And what will happen is, like you said, you'll get that one or two kids, and we're all like, oh, that parent, and that's not at all what you want to be known for, because then teams are staying away from you. And so you got to be very careful how you go about that. And there is ways to talk. There is ways, and like not every situation is going to be right. There are coaches going to be wrong in certain situations, but why make it worse by doing that every single game? And again, we'll go back to episode 1. And we talk about even with my camps and things like that too, is at some point a select level 8th grade basketball player knows how to pass the ball. And for you to yell at them 100 times to pass the ball isn't going to do anything but make them mad. And so at a level, like let's say kid make JV and he's trying to now get on varsity, is where you're trying to get on varsity, and we push this kid to do so, we push this kid to do this stuff that's out of what the coaches and the schools, because the kid knows. If the kid has been in the program, that kid knows what's going on. They know exactly. They know, like, they're in the locker room every day, and they know, hey, so-and-so hurt his ankle. I might have a chance to go up to varsity with my effort. So-and-so, the seniors transferred out. They know. You may not know. And so have a conversation with their kid after every practice or a couple times a week and be like, how's everything going in the program? Do you see yourself moving up? You see those things there? But just don't you be the judge of everything, knowing there's things that's going around into the school.
Well, and the real tragedy is when a kid has everything except the parental piece of it, and they know that adding this kid into the mix is going to add a volatile element to the roster because they have to deal with parental stuff. And sometimes, like I said, a coach will endure if you're dealing with that kind of transformative generational talent. But if you're just on the fringes and they just are at that point where you're still kind of just going in and bringing your lunchbox and doing your job, what'll happen is the coach will just say, you know what, I don't feel like dealing with all the baggage that comes along with dealing with this kid. And so you got to really know, like, if you're going to play that LeVar card, you got to know that you're in a LeVar type situation where you have that transformative talent that everybody's looking for. And I think that's, at that point, if you're at that level, you have a little bit more leeway. I would postulate. I'll throw that out there. If you're at that level, you have a little bit more leeway. But a lot of people who do that kind of stuff aren't really at that level. And that's what the problem is. And that I think that's the biggest piece of it. We talk about, we'll be frank here, and we'll talk about when you get to the highest level, those highest level where you actively have letters of intent and colleges are recruiting you and all that other stuff. When you're at those highest levels in high school, the rules do change a little bit for you. Not much, but they do change. You're playing a different ball game. And Coach Mo can elaborate on that when we come back. Okay, we're back. So we browbeaten you enough about why you ain't, how a lot of people aren't on that LeVar level where you get to dictate and call shots. But there's an exception. And let's be honest. There are some times where you have somebody who's phenomenally talented where really the sky is the limit in terms of what they're able to do and what programs are going to be interested in them. And so I think we need to talk about what are some of the signs that you may be on that track and talk about, how do you know? How do you know? And what it looks like, how it looks different being on that track where you are the one that they're pursuing. You're in that elite track. But there's a caveat, and we'll talk about what that caveat is to that. So, Coach Mo, what are some signs that you are that kind of player, or you have that kind of player in your household?
Well, I mean, things are measured by right now basketball, football, soccer, volleyball, baseball. It's measured by offers. If your kid has multiple scholarship offers to play sports somewhere, you've been recognized. That means people know who you are. And especially if you start getting multiple Division I, right now you've, in a sense, made it. In a sense, people know who you are. People know what you're about. And so, yeah, you don't have to do as much. You don't have to do as much as a kid that's trying to grind and get on the varsity. But here's a secret.
There's a caveat.
The caveat. These guys still do, and they still show up to the non-mandatory stuff, and they make it mandatory. They still go work out with a trainer. They still go take a run around the block. They still watch what they eat. They're still doing, because if like any of us that want, that our dream to play sports, and once we got to the levels, like the end game for basketball players is to get to the NBA. In this state, to get to the NBA. And so if your beginning journey is, first of all, get yourself to college, that is your step to get yourself to the NBA or to play overseas, to do something professional, to make money off of something that you love doing. And those kids still do it. So, I don't know how many kids I know that after, shout out to Bell West for the state championship last year. I didn't see a lot of those kids take off. They might have took a couple days, 3 days, and the first thing they got in their mouth was like, man, I need to find somewhere to shoot. I need to find somewhere to get back. I need to find somewhere to get back in the gym. And unfortunately, what happened to this state was, it's like a lot of stuff got shut down because of the pandemic. But the verbally, those kids are like, I'm ready to grind again. I'm hungry. I want to do this again. And you're looking like, wow, these are kids that are at the varsity level, that hit their peak. At the peak of varsity level, winning a state championship as a varsity athlete in any sport, that's your peak. You did it. And the individual successes, you get to go play it in college because you got that offer. Those kids do have not a pass in a sense. They don't have to do everything in a sense, but they do, and that's why they're where they're at.
And that's the common theme. They're going above and beyond what is expected of them, relative to what their status is, relative to what the social proof says. Where the social proof says that they've already earned at high school level, they've already earned their ticket, and earned their ticket to the next level. But they're still putting in the work. They're still doing the work. And we find Coach Mo sees this across the board because of all the, from all the different schools and all the athletes he comes in contact with. They're still going above and beyond. And so for what that means for the people that are still trying to make it is if you're not willing to go, if your athlete isn't willing to go above and beyond, how do you ever expect to compete with the athletes that have already earned their spot and are still pushing harder and harder? If you're not there, I mean, your athlete has to have the mindset. And at some point, it's not the parent pushing it, it's the athlete pushing it.
I just got a text from one of my athletes a minute ago asking me what I'm going to be in the gym tonight. That athlete has an offer. That athlete has already done this. Athlete is a supreme athlete, still wanting extra work outside of the work that they're doing. That's what we're talking about. As we're recording this, I'm getting these kind of text messages. That kid wants to, be even better than what they are, and that's exactly what we're talking about with that.
Yep. So we're saying that even if you're not at that level, you can still work like you're at that level. And that's how you get to that level.
Yeah, and in all eyes, everybody is watching. I explain this to the kids on our academies on Wednesday nights, our basketball academy. Everyone's watching. And so when you get in here, and I'm going to tell you what else you're going to do. Maybe this is a part, I don't know if we touched on this, but when you are trying to get to that level, let's say you have your freshman year, and now you got that sophomore year, you're kind of like, hope I get there over there in the junior year, and you do have that, what could you do to improve? You have to talk, the athlete itself has to ask themselves, why was I on freshman B last year? What did I do wrong? I always have a great talk with Noah McPhillips is on our team, and Noah's a sophomore at Illinois, and he's great about this. And he's like, he holds himself accountable for everything. That means I played freshman B is because of this. Talent level, he said, I could have did this, but I didn't slow down. I didn't do, and I'm like, there. So as you're going out, if you don't like something, were you the last one down the court? Did you miss every free throw last year? Were you the weakest guy in the weight room? Did you show up to everything? You know, when you came to games and practices, did you have basketball shoes? Did you have a basketball in your bag? Did you have the right jersey on? Did you remember your mouthpiece? Goes back to what we said before preparing, right? And that's what coaches are looking at for the varsity level too. Like, they cannot babysit you for 4 years and see if you're going to wear your shoes to practice.
So if you're looking at if you're a player that's looking to flip that switch, we do have our tryout training.
Yep.
We're doing that every Friday and Saturday until November to get you hit the ground at a running start. But even a bigger piece, if you're looking at flipping the switch without making because people aren't always in the position to make that investment. The first investment you make is, and this is for players, I statements will change your life. Using I statements. Not they statements, not them statements, not you statements. I and we. I miss those free throws. I need to go out and get better. Not, well, they missed those free throws. It's not my job. No, I didn't do what I needed to do. Okay, they missed those free throws. You blew a layup. If you didn't blow the layup, the free throws wouldn't have mattered. So I missed that layup. Those I statements are the first investment that you need to make in terms of transforming, how you start perceiving this thing. Because at the end of the day, it's the I, not they, not them. I. What am I doing? And coaches are looking for somebody that takes that level of ownership and says, here are the things that I did. Not what they, the refs, did. Not what them, your team did. Not what you, the coach, did. I. Mm-hmm. So if you can start finding those I statements and incorporating them into the way that you practice and the way that you play, that can be that first step to start getting better. And that goes through, that's not just a basketball thing. That's a lot of other things in the world. Using the power of those I statements and not they, them, you. No, I. What did I do? Right. Well, what didn't I do? And what can I do better? So I think that's if you're not willing to, if you're not able to make that the financial piece of it, you can start changing your outlook by incorporating those I.
Yeah, what you do, and just talk and ask those questions, man. Like, find somebody. If you can't, like I said, if you can't do certain things, like find somebody. Find somebody that's, like I said, if let's say you're a freshman and you were trying to get on that varsity, go find one of the varsity players and go ask them, hey man, how'd you get here? Interview them. How did you get there? What do you do? Can I work out with you? Can I at least see what you do? Can you write it down for me? What do you eat? You know what I'm saying? What do you eat? What is your approach? Do you have a certain song you listen to before you lift weight? You got to do that. You got to study that game. You got to study and be. And what I always tell my kids, and I tell my own personal side, I said, find somebody's game that's similar to yours or something you want to do, and watch it and see how they prepare for it. And I said, don't do something that you're not. I'm not tall. My son's mom's not tall. We have tall people in our family. I hope he gets pretty tall. But I think we're going to stop at 6'1". Maybe, we're hoping, like maybe some weird thing happened. But for me to say, hey, son, go look at Anthony Davis's game. It's not going to, that wouldn't be him. He's not 7 feet. It's not going to be him. He doesn't play the post, not them. But I said, son, you like to lift weights. You're powerful. You're pretty shifty. You're a great defender. I was like, what about Chris Paul? I said, do you like Chris Paul? I never thought, and he looked at me, he's like, hey, I like that. I was like, let's go back further a little bit. I was like, you ever seen Tim Hardaway play? I thought, you have a good handle of the ball. You ever seen Tim Hardaway? Yeah. We're in an era where you can go back and actually watch YouTube. You can go back and watch those things there and find it. That doesn't take any money. That doesn't take any effort to just go look at those things. And again, ask. Also ask the coach. Like, man, you got to understand. And we hear this all the time, and you've probably heard this working with kids all the time. Is I didn't approach them because I didn't want them to say no. I thought they would say no, or they wouldn't invite me to some of these camps. How do you ever know? Closed mouth never gets fed.
Yep. And it goes back to the I. Yep. I didn't ask.
Yep.
And what could you have done? Well, I should have asked.
Mm-hmm.
You go to somebody. I know I need to get better. I need help. And that's where you seek out the help. So those are the things that we're talking about. So to make those varsity teams, one, you do need to take some accountability for your off-season activities. Make sure that you're doing the things that are required to be on the team. And even though they say it's not required, it is required, especially if you haven't made it yet. Because if it's required for the person that's not required for, the person that's already punched their ticket, is definitely required for you. If the person, if the guy has made it or the girl has made it on that level and they're already getting offers, if in their mind that practice is mandatory, even though it's not for them, it's mandatory for you if you're still chasing behind them. If you are a parent in the stands, be an advocate for your kid, but don't be an anchor for your kid. Don't be a detriment. And so this comes with communicating with coach, making sure the team is the right fit, making sure that you're supportive and things like that. And if you do have questions, you ask. But also balance those questions of the coach with what you're seeing with your eyeballs at the game. Don't just go based on what somebody else is telling you. Go and see for yourself. It's using those I statements for the players. What can I be doing better? Not they, not them. What can I do better? And understand that there is a difference between those people that have punched their ticket and already are getting those offers and stuff like that, and those who haven't made it yet. But the other side to that is those people that have punched their ticket are still going above and beyond because they're not worried about, they want success at this level, but they're also looking at what's going to make them successful at the next level. So they're going to still do those above and beyond kind of things. And so that's what we have. Right now we had a great week last week of the tryout training. Phenomenal program. It's about conditioning. It's about getting your speed and agility up so that you're ready for that. We do have our next major camp coming up, and I think we're looking at handles.
Yeah.
And Off the top, dynamic handles training. If you want to know what dynamic handles is, that means speed plus agility plus handles equals dynamic handles. We're going to teach you how, Coach Mo's going to teach you how to move with the ball with speed and agility and add another dimension to your game. And so that's the next major camp that we have rolling out. We still have our basketball academy program, which we love. We shouted out the people who donated to help us get our uniforms and stuff like that. We're still taking donations, helps these kids out. And so it's a fantastic opportunity to sponsor some of these teams or whatnot. We're going to be taking sponsors for our basketball teams. We're always looking for sponsors for the program, so that's something that's out there too.
Yep, big shout out to Legend Soccer and the Happy Feet program. Again, like my son loves it, loves both. He plays for the academy team and he also plays for the Happy Feet program. And I think right now they still have a couple of their late registration that's coming up there for some of the Happy Feet. Make sure you check those out. My son loves it. He doesn't want to go a day without playing soccer. And it's funny because he came from not playing at all to want to play all the time. Great coaches, great program. Shout them out. We'll put the links down in the into the comments, but definitely shout them out. We have a great partnership, and we're going to continue to grow. And now that schools are opening slowly, we're taking precautions as well, and we're glad these things are opening up, and there for both programs. But the future's bright.
Yep. And let's emphasize this. I want to emphasize, underline, put it in bold, put asterisks by it. OPS, y'all, it sounds like they're going full steam ahead with winter sports. You need to get your kid into some kind of conditioning program if they're not doing conditioning themselves. And even if they're doing it, there's always a benefit to having a professional to help direct that. Coach Mo can provide that professional speed and agility and conditioning kind of oversight. So this is a hard plug for our tryout training because it can help. It's not just for basketball players, but it's focused on basketball players.
We got some top-notch players coming in. Like I said, if you're like, is it too late? No, we'll catch you up. So if you want to get in, we'll catch you up. So you can sign up ASAP, coachmoathletics.com. I got bounce.net. Got bounce.net.
Yep.
You can sign up there, but yeah, you can get in at any time. So let me answer, because we get people that send a message like, yes, you can get in. We still got a few spots at any time, and get yourself in there. We got some good players that are in there that will challenge you. And also, once you get in there, I'm seeing you working. Don't be surprised you get an invite to Monday nights. Our Monday nights is our high school, college guys. They come in there. They're our standout players, and it's the best of the best. And we have 3 middle school kids that have been continuous going in there, and they have made an impact by coming in there. So we're always looking. So get inside there. The more you wait, and the more you wait and the more you set back, just know your competition is not sitting back. And so, yes, this is not a subliminal plug. We want you there. If you're ready to work and challenge, remember, we ain't about taking a bunch of extra pictures and talk about what we do and don't have anything to back it. We're results based, and our kids last year that did this, the results were they made their teams, and not only made their teams, they were starting or they were a significant part of those teams. So I think what we're doing, we're getting the best results out of these kids.
So all these links are going to be in the show notes. We're going to check out Solutions Heating and Air. I'm putting their link in the show notes. Schedule your furnace, your heating system maintenance. It's a fantastic deal, $77 just to do a checkup. So, but that link's in the show notes. We'll be dropping the link in the show notes for everything's going to be in the show notes. We're dropping the link in the show notes for team sponsorships, and we're still working out what our show sponsorship program looks like, but that link will be in the show notes as well. So that's all we got. Like, share, and subscribe. And if you're interested, reach out to us. You can hit us at coachmoathletics@gmail.com if you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, whether that be team or for the program. And if you have questions, make sure that you let us know that it's a question for the podcast, question for the Coach's Corner. Put that in the subject line. So if you have a question for us, we'll be glad to answer it on our next episode. So that's all we got. We will be back at you guys next week with some more basketball stuff since the season's really cranking up. And we will talk to you guys later.
All right, peace.
Peace.